Hi, I'm Emily Wilson, and I was on the fall 2012 voyage. I was actually Emily Hall back then. And when I think back on that trip, there are two things that really stick out for me. And the first was a Mr. Milton Orris. I have a feeling that at least some of you know who he was. Milton was quite a presence on the ship, and I know that he did several voyages with his family. When I think about Milton, the thing that really comes to mind is his unending positivity. Milton was the embodiment of positivity. He wanted to help everyone with anything they were working on in any way that he could. He was so supportive of everybody all the time. And even though he passed away a couple of years ago, Milton continues to live on in my psyche because there are still days quite often when I think, what would Milton do here? And his continued influence in my life has encouraged me to be more open and positive and welcoming than I ever would have been had I not met Milton. So I'm so glad that I did Semester at Sea, if anything, just to be exposed to amazing people like Milton. The second thing that comes to mind when I think about the trip is the fact that no matter what your expectations are for your trip, no matter what you planned on doing with Semester at Sea, you're wrong. It's going to be so different than you ever could have imagined, and so much better than you ever thought it was going to be. Because there are always things that you can't account for. Things will happen that will surprise you, and you will find out that you are a different person than you ever thought you could be, in the best way, and that whatever plans you had, they're going to change, and you will end up with the most amazing experience and memories that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. Even if, in the moment, it's raining, and you're cold, and you're hungry, and you're probably out of money, and you might not make it back to the ship on time, even in those kind of scary sort of moments, you will look back on those later and realize that they were some of the most amazing things that you've done in your life, and you'll want to go back there and relive those experiences. We learned on our trip with Semester at Sea that the world is bigger than you ever could have imagined, and yet so much smaller than you ever thought it was, because no matter where you go, there are always people who are worth connecting with. There are always people who are worth talking to, and things worth seeing, and things worth doing, experiences worth having. The world is full of amazing things, and it's worth exploring, and you want to get out there, and you kind of get the travel bug. And that's why all of this coronavirus upheaval makes me particularly sad, because when we took our Semester at Sea trip, and when the kids who are signing up for Semester at Sea are looking forward to their trips, they're excited to see the world and get out there. But with coronavirus, there's a whole generation of kids right now that's growing up in these circumstances with fear. And when they think about the world, and they think about traveling and meeting new people and going new places, they might not want to go because it's a little scarier than it was for us. And I realized that having seen the world through the lens of Semester at Sea, I didn't want this generation of kids to be afraid of the world. And I had to do something about it because I have two daughters, and I don't want them to grow up nervous about seeing new people and going new places. And of course, I thought, what would Milton do? And I'm not entirely exactly sure what Milton would do, but he probably would have some big group of amazing people and they would do wonderful things and it would be fabulous. But I'm a mom and I work from home, and so I needed to work at a little bit of a smaller scale. And so I decided that I could write a book. Now, I'm an audiobook producer. I narrate and produce audiobooks. I never wanted to write a book, let alone a kid's book. But I had a thought, so I wrote it down. I drew some questionably good stick figures, and I self-published it on Amazon. The book is called I Love You Enough. And the whole premise is that it takes all of these new things that we're doing to help slow the spread of coronavirus, like wearing masks and social distancing and distance learning. It takes these things that might seem a little bit scary because they're new and they're different for little kids, and it takes them out of the context of fear and instead puts them in the context of why we're doing them, which is love. Love underpins all that we're doing right now to help slow the spread of coronavirus. The entire world is saying, I love you enough to make these sacrifices, to make these changes, to protect you, to keep you healthy. So I wrote this book, and I'd like to share some of it with you today. And I would ask that if any of the story connects with you, if any of it resonates with you, that you would consider sharing it with your community and with your family and your friends. I'm offering the ebook up for free as often as Amazon will let me, and I'm donating the proceeds from the rest of it to a coronavirus relief fund. I'm not trying to make money off this. I just really want the world, and especially kids of the world, to see that even though there's a lot going on right now, you shouldn't be afraid of the world because there is so much love in the world. So I'm going to read some of this, and again, I'm not an illustrator, so if you have kiddos and they see this video, I would encourage you to encourage them to consider drawing their own pictures. There are a lot of people in the community that are doing wonderful things. So they could draw one of the pictures that I have in here, or if they know of someone else that's doing something awesome to help out their community, maybe they could draw a picture and write a couple lines. Maybe they could send that picture to the person, or they could post it online, or you could post it online and tag me in it. I would love to see those pictures. You can use the hashtag #ILoveYouEnoughBook or hashtag #ILoveYouEnough. I think I may have stolen that from a campaign in Germany, but we're going to use it anyway. And I would love to see those pictures. So here's the book. I Love You Enough, written and illustrated by Emily Wilson. The world is full of little germs that you and I can't see. Usually those tiny things are harmless as can be, but some of them can make us sick. We start to cough and sneeze. And today there's a particular kind that can make it hard to breathe. To keep those germs from spreading, we have rules we've never had. And you might feel confused, angry, lost, or even sad. It may help if we can change the way we see the things we see. Masks and distance are how the world shows love for you and me. I love you enough, says the parent, to don a mask when going outside. The experts have said it will help slow the spread, and so I will wear mine with pride. I love you enough, says the teacher, to teach your class online. Do your best, try not to stress, and you will do just fine. I love you enough, says the best friend, to not come over to play. We will drive by your house, out the window we'll shout, "We love you," and "Happy birthday." I love you enough, says the grandma, to stick to long chats on the phone. Virtual meetings and telephone meetings will help us not feel so alone. I love you enough, says the trucker, to drive all day and night, moving supplies for those who save lives to make sure we come out all right. I love you enough, says the grocer, to stock the shelves with bread. Beans and soup, veggies and fruit will help keep your family fed. I love you enough, says the mailman, to carry the mail to your door. Packages, letters, hellos, and get betters are more crucial than ever before. I love you enough, says the janitor, to wipe and scrub and spray. I'll clean through the night to get things just right and keep those germs at bay. I love you enough, says the officer, to continue patrolling the streets. Despite all the risk, I'll be there to assist. Fighting germs has become my new beat. I love you enough, says the farmer, to plow and plant and grow, tending the field and the crops it will yield, spreading kindness with each seed I sow. I love you enough, says the doctor, to put my own health on the line. With nurses who care, we'll always be there until we are all feeling fine. Staying at home and playing alone make these days seem long and tough. But by making these choices, we're telling the world, yes, I love you enough. I really hope that at least part of the book resonated with you and that you'll consider sharing it with your community. I think that if we can all really focus on why we're doing this instead of the little details about what's actually happening, that we can continue to stay strong and do what needs to be done to keep the community safe. And it wouldn't hurt for us all to think a little more often, what would Milton do?